Hello, my friend!
Are you a first-time voter? Do you know what to do during election? This video can help you on what to do during election. But do you know what to do during election? Now, let's take back and talk about the election.
What is election? Election is a way people can choose to vote of a person for a political office or other position. An election is the official process of choosing a candidate to be our political leader or representative in our government. In layman's terms, an election is a method of selecting a candidate via voting. In a democracy, the right to vote is the main way most citizens can influence decisions about how their country is governed, just like here in the Philippines. The government controls the country. Some citizens use their freedom to vote to express themselves. Citizens get their chance or will have the opportunity to participate when the government decides to hold an election.
Tips and guidelines for ALDI first-time voters.
The Philippines hold a presidential election every 6 years, indicating the need for Filipino voters to support a new candidate who will become the country's next leader, which will take place in May. How do you cast your ballot? Have you previously voted in the past election, or are you voting for the first time? What should a first-time voter do during an election to ensure that their vote is counted? So here are some things that you need to know. Number 1. Confirm that you are a registered voter. Check the voters list posted by your polling precinct for your name as well as which room in the precinct you will be voting. This is where you will confirm that you are a registered voter in a COMELEC designated area. Number 2. Claim your ballot. After confirming your registration, go to the chairperson of the Board of Elections Inspectors or BEI, where you claim the following: your ballot secrecy folder, and marking pen. There's no need for you to bring your own pen because COMELEC's marking pen are specially designed for ballot and VCMs. Number 3. The voting. Ballots are divided into the following categories: the President, the Senator, Member of the House of Representatives, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and the party list. Keep the following statements in mind. You cannot vote for more candidates than what is listed beside each position, as doing so will invalidate your vote. You have the option of voting for or against the maximum number of candidates. Also, don't make any additional markings on your ballot while voting. Do not use your phone while voting or take a photo of your ballot. This could be considered a violation of the electoral process. To ensure that a candidate's vote is counted by the VCM, the COMELEC recommends filling out the entire circle beside his or her name. And lastly, number 4, cast your ballot. Do not leave immediately. Wait for the ballot to be processed by the machine. Examine your voting receipt to ensure that it accurately reflects who you voted for. Next, bring your receipt to the BI to register your complaint if it does not match who you voted for. Remember that this is documented as well. If the receipt matches who you voted for, drop it in the voting receipt box once done. Lastly, voters are not permitted to leave the precincts with their voting receipts. According to the COMELEC, this is done to protect the confidentiality of the ballot and to discourage vote buying. You're done voting when you've completed the steps. Remember to take photo of your inked finger only when you're outside the polling place.
Here are some tips in choosing a candidate.
Don't just go with your gut. Election is coming. It's time to cast our votes on the candidate that we choose. Let me ask you something. What is your qualification or traits that you're looking on the candidates to be rightful on your vote? We as voters have huge responsibility when the election time is coming, because this is the time we are the one who gonna choose who are the persons gonna sit to manage the issues and problems, the one whom responsible for protecting us, and the one who will develop and increase the economy of our country. What are the bases on forming your political views? Did you base on information or in bias or anger? When forming a political views, we should be mindful in many things. We have to form it based on information and the things that we learned, and not on bias or anger. We have to think that this politician has an eye for the common good of the people in the country. We should not be persuaded easily on the flowery words of the politicians because that is their one way on changing our political views. Politicians know how to hit our emotional button that can affect our entire decision and mindset. We should not be tainted and blinded to the things that we see on the outside. We should be active and open-minded, listen carefully to all the platforms and promises of the politician, assess and see if it is beneficial or he will do it. We have the power to choose the best candidate for us to win and represent, defend, and fight for us Filipinos in other countries. So we have to vote wisely and be responsible for it, and not based on our gut. You think that this politician is good, and it is an impulsive act, and when you realize what have you done, you cannot bring it back again. Before voting, you have to think deeply, because no matter who will win, it was agreed by everyone, and we have to accept it, and it cannot be changed. There's a saying, nasa huli ang pagsisisi.
Why don't rely on news on social media? This coming election, we need to think and decide who really need to entrust this country, who once had its fame. Social media like FB, Instagram, Twitter, and ADC are online platforms who actively engage in political views regarding 2022 elections. Some statements and opinions are convincing yet stay as only opinions, and some are less persuasive but has a relevant stand with references. Thus I'm saying that social media networks have a good and bad sides. In order for us to clearly evaluate ourselves regarding on which candidate we vote, we must try to engage in channels or sites, papers, or magazines that have a different stand on oneself, because that's the most important thing in giving ourselves an opportunity to evaluate others' opinions than reflecting ours. Always keep in your mind, Sure says, if no one challenges you, there's no opportunity to rethink or ask important questions.
Know when to abstain. Voting is the expression of our commitment to ourselves, one another, in our country, in this world. By doing so, we add our voices to the chorus that forms opinion in the basis of our actions. Many social systems rely on member participation to operate effectively. Member participation in democracies across the world takes the form of voting and elections and other deliberative assemblies. Democracies allow citizens to communicate through voting, but they may also communicate by not voting. Withholding a vote can send a powerful message, but it can also result in significant consequences for both the voters in the system in which they participate, because abstaining from voting may have such a big impact. It's critical for voters to understand what it means and what it means to abstain. So what does abstention from voting mean? Abstention from voting is a form of exercising one's right to vote. It occurs when voters make a positive effort to display their decision not to vote for any available motion or candidate. It is the opportunity to vote but chooses not to do so. When someone confirms that they are abstaining from voting, it means they are voting either or nor against the motion at hand. Just like here in the Philippines, people are blinded by fake news, misunderstandings, and some false information, which lead them to believe that the promises and actions of those candidates who claim that they can help people get a better life, get work, improve our country, and many more can't be true in the end. That's why some considered not voting because they believe that those candidates couldn't help them. Not voting also happens when someone influences you not to vote because they don't like the candidates. It's like they're manipulating you not to vote. Abstention from voting is not necessarily a deliberate choice. A voter may abstain from voting for a variety of reasons after all. In including a belief that they do not know enough about the candidate to make a more informed decision, a belief that voting for a specific candidate constitutes a conflict of interest in the end, a belief that voting can't help them in the end at all, a protest vote, and so on. So here's the question: is it okay to abstain? Sometimes yes, but if in doubt, don't. Not voting is not a protest, it is a surrender. Whether you, the voters, decide to abstain for voting or not is your personal choice. What matters is that you understand your rights and how to make the most of them in their specific circumstances.
Why you should vote.
New voters, I have a difficulties to choose a better one, but I know he or she can do it. I will vote in support to have a better country and for a better lives, to have a good and positive effects in the Philippines. And country will boom, for the economics will be higher in the Philippines.
One of the rights that a citizen of every nation must have is to vote. Therefore, as part of the community, I am particularly a registered voter. So I was given a chance to vote. And as a result, I will vote for the reason that somehow upon using my right, I am able to help upon choosing the right and passionate leader of the country.
I will vote not only for me, but all of us Filipinos. I am casting my vote to the leader who can lead us and bring us to the better future.
How do you choose a candidate?
I will choose a leader who is fair and who I believe will bring peace and unity to the country, especially if that leader supports the LGBTQ+ and protects its human rights.
First of all, I will filter the specific platforms that is favorable for me and for the people around me. With this, it will make me more conscious of who I want to vote in the presidential elections.
I choose a candidate, someone visionary, that is someone can express a purpose in concrete terms, and someone who can manage and arrange things. A candidate who can serve to others. A knowledgeable leader will be able to that she and he needs at the time that it's needed. And I will choose the candidate who is responsible and honest.
2022 Philippine General Election.
The 2022 Philippine General Election will take place on May 9, 2022 for executive and legislative branches of the government, national, provincial, and local, except for the barangay officials. The following is an example of election sheets that will be distributed on the election day. At the top of the ballot will be the election for successors to the Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte and Vice President Leni Robredo. There will also be elections for 12 seats to the Senate, all 306 seats to the House of Representatives, all 81 governors and vice governors, and 782 seats to the provincial boards in all provinces, all 146 city mayors and vice mayors, and 1,650 seats to the city councils in all cities, all 1,488 municipal mayors and vice mayors, and 11,908 seats to municipal councils in all municipalities. Here is the example of election sheets presented by the COMELEC.
So now, you are ready to vote in this upcoming 2022 general election.